I'm neither the introducer nor the main attraction tonight, but running the sideshow. After the meeting, I would direct your attention to the back of the rooms where the Historical Society has some framed postcards for sale for Christmas gifts. We've got 6 scenes that are available in small frames. And we also have some box note cards, blank cards with the scene of North Brookfield on the box. Take a look as you go out, and if we are not able to come up with everything that you wish, there's an order form there. We would be glad to get things to you in good time before the holidays. Have a look on your way out. Thanks for coming to this auspicious evening.
Good evening again. Welcome on behalf of the North Brookfield Historical Society to our guest speaker's presentation tonight. As most of you know, the Historical Society has been here for a number of years, and we have an open invitation to everyone who is not a member to join us. Dues are only $5 a person, $8 a family, $100 if you'd like a lifetime membership. After the presentation, there are free refreshments here. So without further ado, I'll let Mr. Caille present tonight's program.
Thank you. I started collecting postcards back in the early 60s. What really happened is I saved stamps and coins since I was a young kid. And when we moved to North Brookfield, my wife and I lived on Elm Street, the stamps and coins were stolen. And what was left over were boxes of postcards that I had picked up when I bought collections of stamps and coins, and I just threw them to one side. And with the stamps and coins going, I started doing this. And I show these to the kids in school every year about this time, so it'll be a warm-up for them. I call it the Ah-Ya Show. And the reason I call it the Ah-Ya Show is because I put it on the screen and I say, okay, where is it? Everybody goes, Then I tell them where it is, and they go, oh, yeah. This is not Brookfield. There's a map that goes there, and it'll be in there shortly. I have these in my classroom, and kids do show interest. It's surprising if you just leave them there and you don't say anything about it, pretty soon they stop looking, and they'll ask questions about it. And it's attractive, and they seem to enjoy it. What I'm going to show you, these are all duplicates. And rather than just put them somewhere, it would be a good idea to display them, so you display them out where the kids can see them. If something happens, that would fall over and break or something, and you're really not losing them. I'd like to mention this tonight. This is a work in progress. This is the Common, the ball field. It's not Connie Mack, it's way before that. We've been trying to figure out when this picture was taken, and it definitely goes back into the 1880s. I have a suspicion that ball games have been played on this Common going all the way back to the Civil War period. And I can't prove that yet. But it has been with us for years. The 1906 Women's Christian Temperance Monument is there. We always go through why the Women's Christian Temperance gave the bubbler to the town. It's because too many people would get drunk at the ball games. And, the Irish and the French Canadians fought on Saturday afternoons. I don't know where they got the energy after working 12 hours in Bachelor Shoe. But they come out on Saturdays and play and fight. And this is on the border of Little Canada in the Irish section, not too far from where the priest patrolled. This is going on. I've been trying to convince Andy Leach and some of the younger people in town that they should dress up in the old ball uniforms. And they have leagues now that play baseball the way they played it back in the 1860s and 70s. And it was a very boring game, but they do play it to try to preserve it. But if you look at this picture and you can add anything to it, I'd be appreciative. This is a postcard that's been blown up. The postcard came from the estate of Shammy Dulude. I won't tell you how much I paid for that card because my wife is present. but it came from Caille DeLude's estate, and he was vague upon how old it was when I had asked earlier. Of course, I'm around long enough to know that there were other great ball players in North Brookfield besides Caille Mack, who was from East Brookfield. Caille DeLude and Carrie Murphy, and Carrie's first husband, both played semi-professional ball, one being Irish and one being French-Canadian. And it's funny to hear the different stories about why each one didn't make it, and I'm not going to get into that here, but it's funny to hear why one didn't make it in the ball, and then you talk to the relatives, the other, and why they didn't. But the truth is they were both homesick, but they were great ball players. And Caille had told me about that. And Ann Murphy had mentioned quite a bit about this area. When I first started teaching one time, one of my colleagues and I were arguing over Caille Yastrzemski and his batting average, and over PA comes, he's batting .314. That was Ann Murphy. She knows as much about baseball as anybody in town. But without getting any further, I'll get into the postcards themselves. And postcards now, the prices of them going pretty high. Everybody wants to know, especially the kids, how much are they worth? Put the lights up. Okay, fine, thanks. How much are they worth? And some cards you can buy it, like the Barry postcard show that they had just a few weeks ago. Some cards are going up there for $50 and $60. They're real photo cards. And I'll point one of those out. This is what they call a generic card. It's just a card with a picture. This could be Wisconsin. This could be California. They just print the picture in it, as you can see, the typing it. Postcards, around the turn of the century, were the way you could communicate. You communicated more with writing postcards. Buy one for a penny, put a penny stamp on it, and send it, and you could communicate. For instance, I have cards that would say, pick me up at 4 p.m. Mail from Worcester in the morning, saying, pick me up in East Brookfield at 4 p.m. The postcard, the postal service then, because of the way the trains were, was very, very good. And because it was cheap way, and telephones weren't in use big time until after the First World War, this was the way to go. And people would rather use them than call up on a phone. There's a family joke in our family that whenever my father would call me, I'd pick up the phone and say, "What's wrong, Dad?" And he'd say, "Well, how do you know there's something wrong?" I said, "Because the only time you use the phone is to tell me somebody died or something. There's always an emergency. You never call for any other reason." This one here is, as you can see, Batesville. Maybe I can clear that up a little bit. Probably as good as I can get it. Fully on the background, looking down the valley. There's a lot of these cards around. Postcards, when they first came out at the end of the 1800s, were just plain cards, and then the picture came with it later on. The picture, there were itinerant cameramen who would go around taking pictures of your house and then come up and ask you if you wanted to buy these as postcards. And if you didn't, they have a picture of a postcard. It's a real one. If you wanted to buy them, whether you bought 100, 500, 1,000 of them, that in the areas goes the value of them as they go up. Not too long ago, about a year ago, I was talking to somebody in town. He was collecting postcards. They had 3 postcards they wanted to show me. They said, "Oh, by the way, you probably all seen these before, but I just picked up these," and looked down, and one of them I didn't have. So, and you can't tell. People say how many were there published. Unless you get to the company's records, you can't tell. Here's one, a bird's eye view, Dr. Grace's property, right across somewhere where Ronnie Sokol lives. The old barn looking down. These are hand-painted cards. They were hand-painted by people in Germany. Germany at that time had the technology to print and come up with these beautiful cards, cheaper than anybody in the United States knew how to do. World War I is going to stop that because, and you'll see that some of the newer cards are less elaborate than the old ones, and because of the technology. Germany had this ability to print. And then they would have people hand color. What happens is you have a lot of different views taken from the same place. And this is the same area, general area, looking down. There's no windmill down there in the valley yet. There will be in a few years.
Now, would that be Bell Street on the far right side there?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, when cards were popular, when the druggist or the variety store were out of them, they just reorder. Sometimes they would reorder from another company. Sometimes they would reorder from the same company. So when one particular card was out, they'd reorder it. So a lot of times you get the same view on a different card company, the same view with a different edition. And of course, if you collect them, you collect all of them. Or if you need, you collect all of them. This house is used to be on the Ward Street and South Main Street, the Potter Mansion. As many of you probably played in this building. It was ripped down and brought down to Springfield at the exposition. I love it when the old stories about Captain Potter. The more I get into Captain Potter, the more I'm amazed at him. One time the story goes, and perhaps somebody in here told me the story, so maybe I'm stealing somebody's punchline, but they wanted to know where the minister was in town, and the young girl didn't know where the minister was, but she says, well, it must be Captain Potter, he does everything else. And she said, we go down and see Captain Potter. Made watches. His military rank is somewhat vague. The same place, only different card. This is perhaps, this is an example of a later card done by the United States. Probably the most beautiful church for this style in the area. It's a federal style. You can see the classic federal architecture. When I took an architectural class one time, and the people were telling me about this church, because I lived in town, and not being a Congregationalist, and having a passing interest in the history of the early churches, never really gave it a good look. This should be someday somebody put on a historic register. It is classic, and the people from Boston just rave about this church. Of course, the one in Glastonbury, Connecticut got all the publicity because of Hassan's painting of it, the Impressionist painting of it. But this church is just pristine in its style. And of course, you can't take any pictures of it because the trees are all in front of it. So every once in a while, you see somebody embarking upon a suicidal mission, standing in front of the Episcopal Church in the middle of the street, trying to get a picture of this thing, because everybody goes by swearing at them, wondering what they're doing. Here's an early card, as you can see, in the early 1900s, with the fence. This is when picture postcards first started developing, and you can see what I mean about trying to find out a clear picture because of the trees. Another one was just Now, every once in a while when you look at these, you realize that these are hand-painted because the colors change. The statue changes. I got one where the statue is gold and below it's bronze. Of course, these are people in Germany painting. They don't know the color. If they can't understand the words, they just improvise. Here's the card you saw before that is before World War I. This is after World War I. You can see that it just doesn't measure up to the early ones. This is one that the American companies were putting out because we went to war with Germany. We weren't dealing with them anymore. So the Americans embarked upon their own printing presses, and they don't do as good a job for quite a while. Again, another shot from another view. Early on, people recognized the historical value of this church, I think, because there's just so many cards. kids are always asking about that. Plus, we told them about the honored deserter that's on there. That's been well written up by quite a few people. The deserter from North Brookfield was in the Civil War, and he was brought in because his friends all signed up, and of course they were receiving bonuses for signing up, and he wasn't quite stable, so we went off with him, and during the heat of battle, he panicked and left, and was shot. And of course, General Devens came and saw it. He congratulated North Brookfield for putting the man's name on it, the hill. And the kids are always asking about that fence around there, and of course, someone inevitably will say, well, they took the fence down because some kid was climbing over it, and he fell and impaled himself on it. It's a hell of a nice story, but unfortunately it wasn't true. From what I understand, it was taken away during the first metal drive during the First World War. Here it is at 2 o'clock on some day after, in the 1950s. And the postcards in the 1950s, just some of them are not as good, but this is a postcard. And it does show the front of the church with the Civil War statue. Oh, and here's one with the granite bottom and the gold top. And the trees, I've never seen a tree like that colored. Some people collect these cards, again, a little poetic license with the steeple here. And some people collect the cards just because they like the sayings on the back. The Congregation Church is by far the most popular topic in North Brookfield. Second is the Town Hall, which is also a unique, only 2 in the state of Massachusetts like it, built during the Civil War. That's the reason for it. And Italianate mansard architecture. Here's the one that supposedly little Johnny Jones jumped over and impaled himself. And I can imagine the mothers for generations told their kids not to climb up on the fence because little Johnny Jones did it and fell and impaled. And the kid goes, for about 10 minutes, those mother turned around and he wants to go to the fence. But we checked that story out, and we don't find any nice story. I love this one. It's a lousy card, but I love it because it shows the Richardsonian Romanesque library, which always hides the door. But the other one is the Episcopal Church, the one we're in right now. This is between the time they took the tower down, between the steeple down and the tower, which was a very short period of time. And of course, it's after World War I, naturally, because we play with the kids with this one. How do you know how old it is? Let's figure out some hints. And finally, somebody figures out that that's the World War I monument out there. Sometimes I'm asleep by then, just trying to wait for the answer to come. But anyway, it shows the tower without the steeple. This is out in front of the Catholic Church. There's Rose Minor right out in front there talking to neighbors. Here's across the street from the cemetery, gravel road. Naturally, before the First World War, most of them were gravel. This is before the actual drive was cut in. And the long-stemming argument who was going to take care of that wall became an issue up in that neck of the woods. And here is the building that was on the corner of, right next to Industrial Park, on the corner of Main Street and School Street. And you can see Belanger. I don't know if Ray Langer still owns that building. I think he does. And in between is where he has his. This building was ripped down. We all remember that for the great run. And I have some fun with this one. This is the Prospect House. Always ask the kids where it was. There are hints in this picture. They never get it. Tell them about the speakeasy downstairs. I asked them if they ever find out any china from this building. Let me know, because if it's for sale, I will pay ridiculous amounts of money for it. This is a beautiful building. And you can see Johnny Murphy's car out in front. maybe some of you remember sneaking around down the, they had the speakeasy. I just listened to the stories. I'm amazed at this card to show how big that building was. I think looking at the other views, you just don't get the perspective of the enormity of this building until you see it from this view.
Where is it?
Oh, come on.
Well, we're not from North Brookfield.
Oh, excuse me. You didn't go to that speakeasy. That's where the pizza place is now. The Grace Building was replaced.
Crescent Liquor Store and
Yeah,
Cumberland
Cumberland
Farms.
Farms. In between the VFW and Aubergine. I'm sorry, I forgot there were people from out of town here. I apologize for that. Here's the building, here's how it shows up when you see.
Now,
Yeah, it fits in pretty good. And here is the parochial residence in the old school, the St. Joseph's School, the Mount Pleasant School.
That's where you have the corner of the porch.
This is before they made the parish house bulletproof. Here it is, beautiful architectural style. And here is St. Joseph's. I have a feeling that they called it St. Joseph's Catholic School, but the Catholics have vacated. And this is just before it became Mount Pleasant. You remember when before they built the new elementary school and the old high school, which became the Grove Street School, was not big enough to hold all the kids in K through 8 that they made this the junior high school. So you look at this, and I have a suspicion that this is in between when the Catholic Church stopped using it as a school, and it was either vacant for a while before they rented it to the town to take care of the overflow. As I was telling somebody earlier, anytime you say that this is an oldest house in North Brookfield, the minute you get oldest out of your mouth, somebody's going to come by and take it down or rip it down. This is the one where it's up, we commonly, lovingly refer to as Wrinkle City.
We have that half-moon window up in the museum.
Ah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, and there's Ubeck's Barn right behind you. And yeah, that is a beautiful old building. I say that lovingly and with lots of respect. I don't dare not. Here is the Catholic Church, and this is a card that, again, after the First World War, we just didn't have it yet as far as the technology go, but we weren't trading with Germany, so this is all you were going to get. This is what they call Carpenter Gothic. Ah, this is after they made it bulletproof, put the aluminum siding on it. But the Carpenter Gothic, as you may or may not know, of course, we wanted our churches to look like the churches in Europe, but we didn't have the money or ability to do it, so we made them out of wood to make them look like the churches in Europe. And they do a pretty good job with the buttresses and all the detail of those windows. I'm glad to see Father Caille took the aluminum out of that rose window. It's a beautiful window, and this time of year when Christmas comes and you show it, it really looks nice. And here it is in the beginning. This church is amazing history, and you tell the kids about the history between the Irish and French Canadians. And then, of course, you tell them the church about the tuck-up church, this one we're in, and Mrs. Tucker and all the money she had. You tell them about the Congregational Church and Lucy Stone, who was all bent out of shape when she was standing up in the balcony, and the Reverend Snell read the Brookfield Bull, which was designed to put women in their proper place, and she stormed out of the church.
That marble monument that was in the front of there, it looked like a seat.
Sarcophagus.
Yeah, that's where Father Michael Walsh is buried.
Yep.
He used to
Is he
live-
still there?
Yeah,
There's no mark. I don't know if.
the marker's still there.
The marker's
The
still there?
headstone is about 6 inches into the ground, but it's still there.
Oh,
And he used to live in my house.
Brown at that time? It's dark. Oh, is that, the color must
oh, that's the color.
be, is there?
Yeah. Oh, still there.
Yep,
That'd be a good story.
that was prior to the St. Joseph Cemetery being built, so, and they, as the story goes, they so loved him that they wanted him to be close to him at the church, so they buried him in the churchyard, and he's the only one in Worcester County that's supposedly buried in the churchyard.
Oh, you can see the detail on his church is great. The buttresses and all the detail over the doors and the windows. There it is, the school. Now, how many of you know that that school had a big addition put up? This postcard points out, here's the old part of the school, and here's the addition. And how you can tell, first of all, I have a picture of it when it was first built, so that's easy to tell once you know it. But if you follow the roof line, the dormers is a hip dormer and a shed dormer, and the windows are different, and from here to here. And this is during a great boom in education, when all of a sudden, in a short span of 15 years, most schools were doubling their enrollment because they thought it prudent to allow kids to stay in school longer, and also the immigration was going on, and it was inundated with immigrant kids. Because in Brookfield, there was a big argument on whether who should be going to school at this time. We're just talking about basketball in North Brookfield with the kids today. Basketball season started, and also we're talking about the rise of entertainment and recreation. We're telling them about playing ball up in the town hall. They're all amazed about that. And they listen for a little while. Then you tell them a story like up here, you know, up on the balustrade, kids used to sneak up there and smoke, and one fell off the roof, and they look at you strange. We have no proof of that. That is an old story, again. But Ronnie Leach used to say that kids would sneak up there and smoke. In fact, he caught some. I wonder if they were his kids. Another picture of the school. I remember I was involved when the town didn't want to know, trying to figure out what to do with this building. And somebody thought it would be a good place for a fire station, right next to the common, so the whistle blows and half the kids get run over. But then they decided that maybe they would rip it down. We got an estimate, $125,000 to rip it down. So it was a big problem. It was a great building, solid. And this is a newer car. As you look up, you can see Rubio coin leaning out there. This is the card. This is the card that they use for that abomination of a thing they put on the front of this building. Some architect thought that for some reason that over the front door that was out 2 feet and just hung there. So they did it. I'm amazed that it makes no sense, but this is what they got the idea from. Oops. Well, there you go, Luke. There's your East Brookfield.
No.
Yeah, that's East Brookfield. And we got it in the right way, too. That's when you came out of that place. That's what you felt.
Yeah.
Here's an old picture of the train station. Here's a picture of the train station. I can remember back in 1960s, some guy was coming down with his Plymouth, and he wanted to take a left onto Elm Street because he was to pick up his girlfriend and her friend and his boyfriend, and he got hung up on those railroad tracks. They put the planks in between the tracks for the horse, as you know, and if you took that corner too close, you'd end up in the air. It shows you the planks, and good. Well, this is a nice card. Something like this card here, if it would be sale, probably would be going for $15, $18. So if you have these at home, some of them have some value. Some of them only worth $1, $2, $3. I always kid Dot's Hammond. Dot can't get over spending more than 50 cents for a postcard. There's the, kids are always interested in this. It shows the fire hydrant before the paved streets. It's always interesting. That's when old Bates figured he was going to sell water to all the Brookfields. We were talking earlier about this building. Here's the building with the addition on it. Originally, the building had only to here, and then they put the windows in the back. I know Jack Roussel donated to the Historical Society a jacket that was made here. Right. Did you have that handed down to you, or did you find it somewhere?
That was in the house at 19 Gilbert Street. My parents bought it in 1945 because John White, who owned the Gilbert,
Yeah.
he owned the house. We bought it from his family, John White. So there was the jacket and a duster and some of the cloth cover things. Yeah.
I have found a overall a snap from there and one button. That's all I found in all the years of scavenging flea markets. Can you remember the button? Here is the Gilbert Street before Tony Holloway came along. And somebody was talking about wooden sidewalks. There you can see the wooden sidewalks. Many of the wooden sidewalks, I'm told, were furnished by the Fulham company. Whenever there was a Fulham, they'd make sure there was a wooden sidewalk. And if you walk down the end on the first street on the right, walk in there and sit down for a while, somebody would probably pull your tooth. Here it is going the other way, in front of the Pillsbury's funeral home. Very poor card, but it shows what happens as the Americans tried to do this after the war. Here we are across from the Pillsbury funeral home again. Same card, only colored. Probably one of the best cards, I think, as far as aesthetic. In the collection is the color, string, trolley tracks on the left. I have a proof that the trolley tracks ran in town because I have a picture of it. Because we all know it, in the early 1900s, the trolley ran there. And you can see on the right-hand side the wooden sidewalk, and of course everybody went down the middle of the road. And it's nice to see the wagon tracks in there. This picture really gives us a throwback to the... All of these show you what the town was at the turn of the century, more so than later. And historically, you can have a lot of fun with this. Every town has a Mad Brook. It's our Mad Brook. There's all kinds of cards about Mad Brook in here. Brooks Pond, which is a favorite of the rich and famous from Worcester. Still. We tell the kids about Richardsonian Romanesque and the copies of the Romanesque period, how they tried to hide the door, always tried to make the door look not like a door. For some reason or other, they had a hang-up about that. And the kids always wanted to know if the bank was robbed. And we have plenty of things to show them that the bank indeed was robbed. The ivy was taken off because realized the mortar and the rocks was deteriorating. Because after the Episcopal Church fiasco, a lot of people were concerned about stone buildings in town. It was brought up a few times. There it is. Because the ivy would help in the summertime to keep the building cool, and in the wintertime, help with a little bit with keeping the ice and warm. Then you have the hitching post and the block that was provided right behind for the carriage that you could get out, bring the money in. That's how it looked, excuse me, in the late 1940s. Before they tied the driveway and the dog ran through it. Picture of the Episcopal Church with that beautiful tower. We always tell the kids that the stone is still in town. It's under the old soda factory and under the garage, made the garage that Sarah Hunt owns on Central Street and Grove Street. Nice picture of the gas light. And again, you can see the trolley tracks. Very nice card showing a panorama standing across the street, looking up at the library and the church. And again, the steeple and the tower. The library with the Second Congregational Church in the background. Now, Brookfield's always had trouble with steeples. Second Congregational Church did have a steeple. We do have pictures of it. There's one there. And it did come down. I always tell the kids that's Joe McElroy. The church, the story of the Second Congregational Church in North Brookfield is fascinating for people that haven't heard it before, about the split, and how the majority of people who walked were women. Elasa Walker naturally was involved, and a few others, but most of the women walked. And so I always wonder what the pillow talk was all about in town. When the women walked across the street to form the Second Congregational Church, and men stayed home with bachelor and snow. That would have been interesting. But anyway, fascinating story. And then, of course, it turns into the movie theater. And then you've got to tell them about the Passion Pit. They don't know about that.
Which church was with the abolitionists? Was it the second or the first?
That was the second.
Okay, but the abolitionists were the ones that broke off, or were the ones
I
that
don't know so much it was abolition as it was other issues. I had thought maybe abolition was a big deal, but I think there was other issues besides abolition. That was certainly a central issue. But women's, remember who was there? If I may digress just a minute, when the Grimke sisters came up from the South, speaking about how bad the slaves were treated, a lot of women in this area, especially in the Brookfield area, and Linda Richardson, who teaches with me, is doing a nice study of this. A lot of the women saying, hey, there's no difference between how we're being treated and the blacks are being treated in the South. So Lucy Stone, who was very, very active, and quite a few of the women went with her and had feelings. So abolition certainly was a big cause, but also was the women's rights issue. And also we have the beginnings of the temperance movement. So there were a lot of people that weren't satisfied with what was going on, and they were starting to voice their opinion. And it was mostly women now were bringing it up. We're just finding this out in history now, about how, and of course, they put the women in Mechanics Hall, and then there's some guy in the paper yesterday who wrote, those women shouldn't be there, they weren't mechanics. Wait till he shows up someday. I'm willing to bet there's going to be some women right after him. You know, you can think that, but you don't write it in the paper anymore. Here we have the library, beautiful building, absolutely beautiful building. We're so lucky to have some of these buildings in town. This one, I think, you'll see that they take a little license with the color of the roof, naturally. Again, hand-painted guy. Here's a great example of how people try to hide the doorway. I don't understand that. Here are these great architects. Of course, H.H. Richardson was Boston. He got his start by building the railroad stations. Well, he didn't get started. One of the early jobs he got building railroad stations along the Boston and Albany. And he had a real hang-up about doors. And of course, that spread throughout the architectural genre about those doors. Bachelor Shoe Company, which at one time was reported to be the largest shoe company under one roof. So you say that, and you sit there and wait, and then somebody will say, well, that's not one roof. So they stretched it a little bit. The train is going the wrong way. The train never went that way. train always went the other way and backed all the way back. They were gonna build a turntable, but there's no evidence that they ever finished that job. Maybe some of you know about that. Bird's eye view of North Brookfield. Bachelor shoe with the, well, by then it's Quabog rubber. Ask Johnny Murphy, he'll go get you one of those. He should be taking some nice pictures from the air in that little, I don't know, what do you call it? Paraglide. Somebody says they're safe. When I look up at that thing, I have my doubts. 1950, with the dummy in the road. There's always a debate. Wow, look at it. 1950s. I always amaze the kids when I tell them I can name all the different kind of cars that they don't think. Here's the view of Main Street looking up School Street. The La Crosse trough where we had the famous confrontation with the Ku Klux Klan back in the 20s. I am sure that that horse trough is the same one that's out in front of the barn that's by Wyndham.
No, hey,
It ain't, okay. Aha! What's the difference, Josh?
the one that up here went the way of Foundry.
Okay. There's one out in front of the,
Yeah, that's right, but the one up here went the way of Foundry with milk.
okay, where did the one in front of the old one in the barn come from?
Well, Bates gave the town a lot of money for the water,
Yeah,
and he had to put a watering trough there for an animal.
that makes sense.
Are they both metal or is one stone? That was metal?
Yeah.
Is one stone granite or?
What's the one in front of Windinets, I think, is metal too, isn't it?
What?
Is that one in front of the old Windinet barn metal?
Yeah, they were melting pots in the foundry somewhere. They all had, but when they got that one the way it had melted, it wasn't any good because it had been heated so many times.
Uh-huh. Well, I'll be telling the kids that one.
There was a watering truck down on South Main Street,
Yeah?
right at the corner of Quad and South Main.
See, you always run the risk when you start to talk about town history to a group of historians that you can shoot your mouth off and be wrong. But anyway, here's the old bachelor company with the coal car. This is I have pictures. They're not cards. They're pictures of the building being ripped down that's in the middle of these two, where the foundation was rotted out because of the stream that goes underneath there. Okay, take a look at this one, and it ain't going to be there too much longer. They're talking about next week. They're going to be preliminary talking about. I don't know where our pigeons are all going to go. H.H. Brown, which the pigeons were in before they went to the other building. H.H. Brown shoe is a fascinating story. Up on top of School Street before it changed. They tell me that someone committed suicide in that barn. Is that correct? Here it is, H.H. Brown shot coming down School Street and up Elm Street at the top floor. Amy Moran used to live in this house up on School Street. That is the town hall. Italianate mansard because of the roof, but all the detail is Italianate. A marvelous building, and some of the stuff inside, like lowering the lights from the third floor, and of course the beautiful tablets for the Civil War, and great building. Years of basketball played up there, years of dances. of view, I don't know if it's just. It was nice to see that fan line over the door put in. Now if they can figure out to get those crummy boards out of there, we can look better. Maybe when it gets on the historical places, the federal government will give us some other stuff. There's different card when the awnings are out there. Coming across. I always name these people when I'm doing this to the kids. And it's usually very facetious in the names. The building behind that is the one that we can make some money on. Many people in town don't realize that that building was raised up. The old post office building was raised up and an addition put underneath it. But we have the picture taken in 1876 that shows that picture when it was not a four-story building, just a three-story building. And of course, I was saying that one time when the kid, whose father owned the place, who tried to bring it down, was saying, oh, the elevator goes from the second floor to the third floor, that's why.
Donald Crooks claimed that was moved from somewhere else down where the telephone thing is, across from Victory, you know?
Yeah, I've heard that too, but that may be true, I don't know. I'll have to, someday after I retire, I'll be good. Here are the famous lights, notifying emergency, looking down Summer Street. The 54th Massachusetts Civil War Regiment had one member in there from North Brookfield. He didn't return. He returned to North Brookfield, didn't live here. Went to Worcester. He was a barber, and he had a barber shop in the building across the street from me on the left, behind the right where the bar is.
When you say lights for emergency, what do you mean by that?
Beg your pardon?
What's the story with the lights for the emergency?
Red for fire and blue for police. And then they took it off the middle of the road and put it on the side of the building. You can still see where the bracket is on the side of the building.
So then they just ideally come on when they had a...
Yeah, when you needed a fireman, it would be red, and
Ah, okay.
the other one is the light for the intersection.
Who was the barber? You know, by name?
I knew when I opened my mouth that I was going to be asked that, and I said, whoops. No, I don't, but I can find out for you.
Gene, that sign on the side of the building was the Chinese laundry sign.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the Chinese laundry over there. And one of the things you got to be careful of with a real photo card like this one, it's just like handling old guns, that the fingerprints on them will deteriorate the cards. You have to be very careful. One of the reasons I put these on slides and hope to put them on video pretty soon is that it protects the cards because people want to see it and want to hold it, and you know they deteriorate rapidly when you do that. So you try to preserve them. So if you have any cards of your own, be careful, especially the real photos, because the acid from your hands does deteriorate the card. And now these things are no longer a quarter; they all have some value. So this is on Elm Street. That's the right-hand side is where my wife and I, when we first moved to town, lived.
So Summer Street.
Summer Street, excuse me, I'm all right. You're right. I'm all right, the wheels wrong. There's Summer Street. And there's Lemuel's on the left, and there's, yeah. Time to get my glasses changed. Somebody ought to know this building. Anybody know where this building is?
Not sure.
Where the Arnolds are now?
The Arnolds are now. Anybody know where to be up over the pediment of the house?
Bates or Bachelor?
Huh?
Is it a Bates or a Bachelor?
Bachelor.
Bachelor.
Bates was across the street from it.
Right.
Sure, and then Tryphosa Bates was born, America's, not Brookfield's original spoiled young lady who went all over Europe singing.
But they haven't built the house.
They have a picture of it historical, and they have it facing the right way. This is the house that Dave Viney used to live in, and it was a kit house. It came, if you look in the And if you go in this house, look at the rafters and the joists, they're all numbered. It all came up in 8 wagons, they told me. And they erected it from the, it was picked out by a catalog. It's a lousy car at Elm Street, I gotta take care of that. There's another one that has got it wrong. I don't know what happened to these stones on the right-hand side of the church lawn. These stones were placed there for years and then they're gone. Mysteriously disappeared. Anybody know where they are? It's like the Ben Franklin mile marker. See the dog on the left near the tree, waiting for the trolley to come. Across the street is the Prospect House and the Owings, the Abisham block. Another picture of Main Street. A real photo of Main Street. So much for that one.
Modern day town government.
Yeah. There's the flag, there's the light I was talking about on the side. The bracket's still there, the light on the side. Old Nash Rambler. I think that's Dave Bonnie's truck, isn't it? I think it is. 55 Chevy in the front. Here's a picture of the Union Star building with the steeple before it came down. And the discussion going on what to do with this building. Bates built it. Some people say with ulterior motives in mind. Not. Somebody. You can see all the way into Boston, because every town has a place where you can see all the way to Boston. I don't know why they wanted to see all the way to Boston. Here's a nice panoramic view of Brookfield with the. This is after. This was taken after the steeple on the Second Congregational Church came down. Again, another. This is having a discussion of whether the parallel park or diagonal park. I remember when Barry High School played North Brookfield, 3 members of the Barry High School starting team got thrown off for smoking in the restaurant right next to the building there. More kids smoked then when I was in school than do now. They do other things now. The same type of card. Real photo, tough to see when you project it like this. South Main Street, across the street diagonally from
The Dr. Jackson house.
Huh?
The Dr. Jackson house. On the corner of Evergreen and South Main.
Yep.
Okay.
For the telephone company, here's a wooden sidewalk. If you're looking for wooden sidewalks. Noah card. Jones Pond. This represents, I'd say, 25% of the cards that I have. A lot of them are the same. This is a hand-colored card. Watch the girls on the right. Give you an example. Now, they painted all this. We can make this a historical landmark, and then John Purcell can open a little candy store up there himself. So,
Yes.
Little picnic area, sell soda and sandwiches. Beautiful spot.
Is a good portion of that building is still intact, or is it?
Oh, it's still there, the,
The wooden balcony partway up is gone. The windows are covered up.
should have left it like that and turned it into a swimming place. Kids go swimming up there anyway. I would go swimming up there if I were a kid. I always tell them, you know, the schools in North Brookfield, originally they opened the Grove Street on School Street because it was built in the Grove. And then they built the new school, the high school, and then they changed the name of the school. They put the Grove School on Grove Street, the Grove Street School, and put the high school up here, and it gets all confused. Another one, Mad Brook. Still mad. Continually mad. Really mad. I get a little bent out of shape when I see this card and it's labeled East Brookfield.
That's a good one. But
But it's not East Brookfield.
I know, but it always said it was East Brookfield.
Yeah, it's interlopers. Same way here. You know, the Germans had trouble with the Indian names. They just couldn't handle it. So you see all the American Indian names. This one here you can't see. I can't focus it in, but spelled in incredible ways. Because they would see Lashua. There's the old Canoe Club. No, the kid wasn't going with me. They're looking for fish. The oldest school in Massachusetts and continuing exist. They still got classes in here, don't they?
Yeah.
It's the oldest school in continuous use in Massachusetts.
Is it?
Yeah. I like this one because this one shows what the trolley stopped. There's the trolley stop, and we got proof that the trolley stopped there. And that says, that card says North Brookfield on it. I can't focus in, but it does say North Brookfield on it.
The trolley does?
Yeah.
Must be where it was going.
There's a very lousy picture of the card that I had blown up here at Common. East Brookfield Center.
Pleasant. Pleasant Street.
That's a gangbusters.
That's the one I got.
There's one of those for sale now on the computer.
Oh, it is?
A real nice one, yeah.
I got a real photo of this. I don't have it on here.
The one on the for sale on the eBay is a real photo card.
Yeah. Oh.
It's during the 1910 celebration of the Brookfields
Yeah.
300th anniversary.
How much is it up to?
It's at $5 now, but I know it's
Oh yeah, like a 40.
it's got $40 written all over.
Yeah.
Little.
There's the original drawdown. Lake Munyon. I got some more Brookfields if you want me to just rip through them.
Gene, you were mentioning something I'll throw out just for interest, how they used postcards in the early 1900s. In 1907, there was a head-on train collision in West Brookfield, which I'm
I
sure
got a whole mess of those.
everybody's got the train record.
Yeah.
It was November 7th. I've got postcards dated and written November 7th train wreck and mailed the same day. The train wreck happened, they ran down some pictures of it, they ran up to Main Street, Clark did, made the photos and ran back down and sold them.
Have you got the one of the Stutz Bearcat hitting the, yeah.
I got 2 of those in East Brookfield.
Yeah.
I got 2, but I don't understand what the story, is the story that they
Yeah.
raised from North Brookfield?
No, they were trying to outrun the train.
I understood that the train left here in North Brookfield.
Yes, it did.
And the car did.
Yes,
And it was a race to see who would get.
Yes,
And
yes.
it was a tie.
yeah, and guess who won? It was a tie as far as speed goes,
Yes.
as far as who lived. You want me to rip through some of these, yes or no? Maybe? All right, we'll go through it. These are the Brookfield. Flash away spelled right. Someday I'm gonna have these on video, it'll be easier to show. When are you guys gonna fix this up?
Well, I thought I was gonna get some good news a month ago, and I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, beautiful building. Eyebrow Dharma, there's not many with the eyebrow Dharma.
No, it's beautiful. Only fast. There was a thing.
There we go.
That's one of them. How many do you know how many there are of that?
No, and you know what? The way they did this is like I said before, somebody would take a picture and then offer you to buy it, and you have no way of knowing unless it was a regular company that would keep track. Like Hubbardston, they had some people who kept track. But there are, I know of 5 different,
Okay.
5 different ones.
I have 2.
And yeah, I have 2, and also, there are others.
Front seat's still there.
And so the kids, we have fun with the kids like this. You gotta be careful what you tell them, but you tell them their foolishness is not just a modern. Somebody ought to tell these people in this Baptist church in East Brookfield that the column on the right-hand side need to be straightened up. If you look at it, it goes inward.
But the church is all changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Someday they're gonna have a sermon in that thing, it's gonna be so strong that that column's not gonna make it.
Oh, this is there.
Where is that?
I don't know, it's a generic card with a name on it, so.
I have the real photo card
Yeah,
of that. And it says a farm in Brookfield.
in the Brookfield.
A real photo card.
And it's in the top of the scene.
And that would say it must be. This one here is the Brookfield Inn farm. I like it, you know, it's a great historical tool as far as trying to teach kids, because it shows what the farms are like, and haystacks in the background. You know, you talk about haystacks today, and not many people have a mental picture of what a haystack is. Oh, well, what the hell.
Where is that? Where is that?
Hey, I come from
Where is that supposed to be?
Brookfield Farm,
That, no name, just the Brookfield one?
the Brookfield Inn Farm. I think it'll say it right up on there.
Oh, on the top.
So I've been telling everybody that's hay it's corn. Oh, boy, I got stuff on my chin.
Is that Richardson's farm in Brookfield?
No, it's the Brookfield Inn Farm. I don't know if
Where the heck is the Brookfield Inn
I
farm?
don't know. Is that the river in the back?
see at the top, it says the Brookfield Inn Farm?
Between Brookfield and West?
I can see it from here.
That looks to me like it's the top of Foster Hill, just below. You got the river snake, the Quabog River snaking along the left hand, you work.
How about where Safety Clean is now? Up over the other
Past
side.
that.
On the wrong side.
Wrong side.
The Coy Brook coming in on the right there. Quabog River, Long Hill over on the left side.
That water, Howard driving in the wire. In the tree?
The old Lewis. Where they got the ball field now.
Where that vegetable farm is
That
now.
barn you see on the right there is Crespo's barn, going up Long Hill.
Well, we won't have any argument where this is.
Now we know where it is.
Now, is this the place that turned George Washington away?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a place where they asked if George Washington had slept there, and the guy said, yes, but we can never get grandmother to admit it?
No, Elm Tree. There's a million of these. He greets the people coming in. Cornstarch. Jeez. I got egg on my face now. Main Street. I don't know if anybody,
Straight there, nothing I've ever seen.
I don't know if any of you know Donnie Fagno or not, but he lives going up in Brookfield, up Main Street, close to the Elm Hill Farm, and right across the street from the Bathsheba Schooner Well. And every year I crack the kids up about, if you really want a ghost story, you never mind the Elsie ghost story up in New Braintree, because that was formulated by a few people my age who were imbibing one night and decided to have some fun. And my wife claims that she saw them. She doesn't claim she did see them. She's never told me who they were, but I figured it out. And so I tell them, that's a fake ghost. The real Elsie ghost is the real ghost is the Spooner ghost. She was hung in Worcester, as you well know. And there were 3,000 people in Worcester. 4,000 people turned out to see the execution of her and her compatriots. And she was pregnant, 6 months pregnant at the time. And she asked to be spared until after the baby was born. She was examined by a physician and some midwives, and they said, nah. But anyway, they executed her. 3,000 in the city, 4,000 turns out. Of course, there was no football in those days. Sundays there wasn't much to do. Anyway, I tell them, and every time I tell them the stories, Donnie will say, oh, the kids are all out there, and they're all looking, and they're all talking, but nobody has really put on the sheet and run out in the middle of the traffic. There's a kid in Brookfield now who's writing a screenplay of that. Center of town.
Yeah.
Nice picture of the center. Some of these cards, they don't project as well as you see them. Center of town. Steeple. The old town hall. New town. Different edition of town hall. Different edition again.
Is the tower still there?
Beg your pardon?
Is the tower still on that building?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's lowered a little
Did they lower it?
After 38, I think it went down
Yeah.
20 feet.
The library, they're thinking of doing something with their library. The same problem as Brookfield has had. This has got probably the nicest fan window, fan light in all of the Brookfields. If you ever go by it this time of year, be careful and look in your rearview mirror, because the guy behind you is also looking at the fan light. They'll bet you know. You know, one of the things I love about these old cards, they have no qualms about displaying the industrial might of the factories. And they could care less about how much coal's coming up that chimney. And that was the signifying the industrial success of the country. So you see them all. So today when you look at that, it creates all kinds of discussion. There's another one of the big Boston and Albany's famous train stations. I don't know if there's a book about all the train stations all along the Boston and Albany. I've seen.
The East Brookfield Library does a couple of them. Yeah,
They have one?
a couple of books about it. You can buy them from, there's a fellow in Warren, there's a railroad pub.
Oh yeah, Tucker?
Is it Tucker? Yeah, he has them for sale.
Yeah.
They're paperback.
Buck.
Buck.
Tuck.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tucker Hardware, Bob.
Yeah, right.
Here's an example of what happens when you get your fingerprints on a real photo card. On the left-hand side, here's the deterioration. So if you've got any of these, be careful of them, because that's what will happen. And of course, it destroys the card after a while. You know, it's better to put them in those plastic envelopes, except the plastic envelopes you're going to have to be careful of, because some of them are not archival, and they will not help you very much at all. So make sure when you buy them, you buy the archival type if you put them in. Causeway. So I hope to get the whole collection at some point in time put on a video, so maybe the next time you see these, and I can tell the difference between a fun stock and a haystack. You'll see it. I want to see some fun. Try to look at all the different spellings of Quacquamquisset. I like this one in West Brookfield, the old school. That's a nice cut. I have two Bibles that came from this company. Anybody have a dictionary, a Merriam dictionary to West Brookfield? You have one, West Brookfield?
I think the first dictionary published, the first edition, not the first actual book, but the
Yeah.
first edition published there in 70 Point.
Yeah, yeah, it would be.
That's a Chinese laundry on the right there. It says Hop Sing's Laundry over the door on the right. That's what
There's
it would be.
there's a connection between Isaiah Thomas and Miriam. So, this was quite, Sturbridge Village has done a thing about the Miriams and the book business in these days and how people traded for books in this area. It's quite interesting. If anybody's interested in that, Sturbridge Village puts it out. It's a little monograph. I remember it was Dr. Dix.
Little remembers it as Dr. Dix too, right?
There's another one of those watering troughs.
That one now sits at the corner of Route 9 and 67,
Oh, East Brookfield got it?
West Brookfield.
On West
Right
Brookfield?
in the common there, right in the V, they plant flowers in it in the summer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ted Crizio moved it in 1954. Library of Steve.
West Brookfield couldn't buy that little house behind the library that was for sale when we were doing the addition. Is that a big political thing?
No.
There's another collection that moves to Springfield.
It came out with a lot of ground, very confident about it, shape.
This place would be a lot more famous if it were Wisconsin or Minnesota. Yeah, being in Massachusetts between Boston and all. Boston Hill takes a back seat.
Hey, we show it to everybody that comes through. Whitfield Rock, so we do our part.
We called, when they had the centennial, we called up the guy in Boston whose name was, I forget his name, it was a Greek name. And he said he wasn't going to, they were going to put out Route 9, and we told him we were going to stand out in front with our old cannon, like a big one, and stop them. They came out and they decided to go up over Foster Hill and then up over Elm Hill. And later on, they said it was the best part of the trip as far as.
Benjamin Franklin heard George Whitfield preach in Boston, I think it was. It's in his autobiography. Apparently he was very skeptical of him. He admitted that he was such a powerful speaker that Franklin actually gave some money towards some of the Georgia missions. Who? Benjamin Franklin.
Whoa, I said, whoa, but Franklin giving the money to...
Yeah. He told that on himself.
Yeah.
Autobiography.
There's a story in itself. Too bad he didn't live about 10 years longer. John Adams got all that glory. There you go, Jeff. Jeff Biscuit's going from here all the way up from the Braintree. The final wheel surprise. There you go, this little rock. Ben Franklin heard him in Boston, you said that? Yeah. There's another train station with a water tower. Look there.
See the greenhouses on the left?
Yeah.
Used to raise roses, ship them to Boston on the railroad.
I have a postcard of the roses, all the roses, the greenhouses with the roses.
Yeah.
Back to North Brookfield. There's a couple of ones that threw in.
Eugene McCarty.
Which one's Gene McCarty? Which one? You said Gene McCarty? Which one?
No, who the hell, Caille, he worked there too. Yeah.
Which one, can you point, which ones can you point them out to me?
No, I can't.
No?
They're the ones that worked there.
Yeah.
Tom Caille, Jim McCarty, Gene Howard.
I got another one, I tried to see which one I could get better focus, but.
Those are postcards as well?
Yeah, this is a real photo card, and you know, it's a little bit bigger than what I had here. I was just trying to see what I could get the best shot.
On the other side, there should be another store when you come.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it.
That was only half.
Wait a minute. See if I got more here.
That year was half.
Ah, wow, while we're at it, we just
How much used to have the other one?
go back and start all over again. Look at this one here, the LaGrange, the old LaGrange Church. I was just talking to somebody the other day about LaGrange. Gary Russo wants to buy carts from LaGrange. He asked me if I had any. This is over, lies over by Steve Cronin's. There's the church, the old church. I love New Braintree when they get into an argument over who should paint the church and the tower. They never can get together on painting the church and the tower, the steeple at the same time. The town votes to paint the steeple, and then the church will vote a few years later to paint the church. I didn't realize they had New Braintree on it. It's the
I locked at the store.
I don't know if it's locked as a store upstairs in the town hall.
See, there's a gun hanging up there, Henry.
That was a museum at the town hall or something.
Yeah, it was upstairs in the town hall.
I've got that photo card, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
they lost a lot of that stuff. Don Adams and stuff. It's the old Fort Hill school.
I don't remember renting down hall. I read what the hell it is. Where's those squares? Take each other's side here.
Oh, geez, I even got Oakham. Oh, I know why I have Oakham. There were two kids in class are from Oakham, so I threw some of them in. I don't have many Oakham. I have more in the Braintree that I haven't taken pictures of.
It take just a 35 millimeter.
Yeah, I got a copy stand. And I put them on a copy stand with a great cut. And
I'd like to find a good way to do it easily.
huh?
I'd like to find a good way to do it easily, so I
Well,
can show them.
if you've got a copy stand and you have a plunger for your camera, 35 millimeter, and well, I apologize for not knowing the difference between hay and corn, but all these years I've been. Huh?
You learn something every day.
Yeah, that's basic.